Hi, and welcome to this demonstration of split structure, a new technology preview designed to streamline structural modelling workflows directly in Revit. During the early design and tender stages of a project, Revit models are often developed quickly with primary structured elements such as columns and beams and walls modelled as continuous elements. Whilst this approach accelerates the initial model creation, it can create challenges later in the project when elements need to be split by levels, grids, supports or construction zones. Traditionally, this process is performed manually, requiring significant time and effort whilst increasing the risk of modelling inconsistencies. In this demonstration, we'll look at how split structure can automatically split walls, columns, beams and floors whilst preserving the essential data and constraints that keep your Revit model accurate and reliable. In this example here, you can see that we have concrete columns running from the ground all the way to the top of the structure. We have these ground beams at the bottom here, again modelled as continuous elements. Looking at the steel frame across the top here, again you can see that we have steel beams and steel columns, again modelled as continuous elements. As we've said before, this is obviously a very fast way of putting together an early concept for tender. However, as that design develops, we'll probably need to split these elements down. So I'm going to go ahead and select Split Structure. You can see in here that this is split in between three tabs. We have the Walls and Columns tab, the Floors tab and the Beams tab. Let's begin with walls and columns. So first thing I'd like to do here is split the concrete columns. So I want to split all the columns from the ground floor all the way up to level 10. So I'm going to deselect all the levels here and I'll select them. So I want to go from level 0 all the way up to level 10 in here. So I can group select those. In this example here, I'm going to actually split the walls and the columns. So I want both of these enabled. And if I only want a small subset of these columns and walls to be split, I could go ahead and select the elements, but in this case, because I'm not going to make a selection, it will take all the elements from the project. You'll see that we have a progress bar down the bottom here. Okay, now it's going to split all the columns. Of course here we are prompted to unjoin the elements, which is fine, so we'll go ahead and unjoin those. And we've now got our report. So looking into this now, we can see that each concrete column has been split. If we go ahead and look at the walls inside here, again we can see that each of these walls have actually been split on the level as well. So that's an enormous time saver. Something else we should also note with this is if we look into the properties palette, we can see that all of the constraints and the parameters are maintained whilst the split is in progress. Again, if we look at one of these concrete columns that have been split, again here you can see that the base level and the top level are correctly set. So let's do a similar thing now with the steel frame at the top. So in this case I just want to split the columns themselves. What I'd like to do here now is go ahead and split all the steel frames here between levels 11 to levels 14. So again we can select none. We can pick levels 11 to 14 like so. This time I want to actually select the columns to split, so I'll go ahead and use Select Column. This is a filtered element collector, so you can see it only looks for structural columns. And then all we need to do is go ahead and click Split. But what I want to do here is actually add an offset in. So I want the splice to be 1 metre above the floor plate. So splitting those columns like so, we can now see again we have that nice splice 1 metre above each of those levels. Okay, so let's now look at splitting of some of the structural framing. So we'll go back into Split Structure again, and this time we'll go across to the Beams tab. So we can see here we're able to select the beams. So we'll go ahead and make a selection of this. Again, you'll notice it uses a filtered element collector. And we'll do the same thing with our structural columns. Again, it will use a filtered element collector to make sure it only selects the columns. Clicking Finish here, we can then go ahead and split those beams. Okay, again here we can see that 4 beams have now been split, and zooming into the ground beams here, you can now see that we have separate elements. This is obviously essential for tagging and also RC detailing as well. Okay, finally we'll take a look at how we can split a floor. So again, we'll go back into Split Structure, and this time we'll select the Floors tab. So in this example here, I'm just going to split a couple of these floors so you can see how it works. Okay, in this example here, you'll notice that we can select grids, or we can also select reference planes if we want splits that are not down grid lines. But I'm going to go ahead and select grids in here. So we'll select a couple of these grids, again, just to show the concept. So I'll pick some grids in the opposite direction as well, maybe like that. And we can then go ahead and click Finish, and then split the floors. Okay, again, you can see that 2 floors have now been split. And looking into this now, we can see that we've got these very neat panels now that are all split according to our selection. Okay, so there's a demonstration of our new split structure tool. I hope you enjoy it.